You know, I was about to say it's been a while since the last upload, and I was gonna apologize for that, which I mean, I should, be trying to upload as often as I can, but I did notice that I'm actually uploading on like a consistent weekly schedule, which was not intentional. I was just uploading at random, and it so happens to be spaced out that way. But yeah, I guess it's technically consistent, but it's not at the pace that I wanted it to be. So, but in case you didn't notice, I did draw myself a new profile picture on YouTube, and I'm gonna put what the full image looks like up on the screen because I think it looks better than it does cropped in the thing. I thought it would look better than it currently does, but I don't know. I have a very hard time trying to draw and color in the particular style that I'm trying to do, where you just color everything with flat colors only. Kind of like if you've seen the concept art for Persona games, where a lot of the character illustrations will be colored with flats only and there's no like shading or anything. And obviously a lot of the gestural like ink lines for the line art is like part of what makes that really good. I would like to learn how to do that, but it's very difficult to do without the correct like brush and everything. But I'm just gonna continue through the game here and talk about some shit. Little shit. Well, I bought all of those sharp stones and this dude dropped 8 of them. Are you for fucking real? Anyways, some of this stuff is gonna be older that I'm talking about just because I haven't uploaded in so long. But yeah, the first thing I want to talk about is has to do with Elden Ring specifically. And yeah, there was a recent update that came out for the game. I think it's like version 1.14 or something like that. And they actually went and did something that I did not think they were gonna do for a while, if ever. And they actually went and they nerfed Promised Consort Radahn, aka the final boss of the DLC. Oh man, having a piercing weapon here kicks ass. Holy shit. But yeah, just really quick, I'm just going to read off what they actually did here for verbatim really quick. So it says, the following adjustments have been made. The final boss of Shadow of the Erdtree changed the action pattern when the battle starts. So I guess he's not going to always like do the spiral dive bomb whenever you walk into the boss room, which I actually kind of liked that he did that. Although there were times where he wouldn't do that, but that was like more rare than anything. They adjusted some attack moves. That's very vague, but what I assumed this meant and what seems to be confirmed after I've seen videos after this patch came out is I don't know if this applies to other moves, but there is one move that he has where he would do 2 alternating slashes with each hand, and then he would end the combo with a third like cross slash attack. And that attack was so fast that if you just try to dodge it normally, you would always get hit by it unless you dodged towards this very specific spot on his body at this very specific time. And yeah, I've seen what they did to that specific move where it's way slower and you can dodge it like a normal video game. So again, I don't know if they changed anything with any of his other moves in terms of stuff like that, but I know that is probably the biggest move that they changed. He just straight up decreased the damage of some of his attacks. I don't know what that's in regards to, but he'll do less damage on some of his attacks, which is fine because he still does a shit ton of damage anyways. Decreased stamina damage on some of his attacks, so that makes shield builds even way better than they already were for that fight, which that was one of the main like builds I saw people using to actually do this fight. And in fact, the very first time I fought Radahn at the end of the DLC, yeah, I tried fighting the boss for however long I did, and I just got sick of it, and I ended up summoning somebody, and they were actually using a fingerprint shield stab build. So it's funny how they made those builds even better than what they already were for this boss fight. They decreased the range of some of his non-weapon based attacks, and the only one that I can think of would be like the meteor attack that he has. So maybe the meteors don't go as far. I'm not actually sure about that one. You little shit. And then one of the other biggest things, this is probably actually the biggest thing, but I haven't refought the boss since this update came out, so it's hard for me to tell just through videos, but they improved the visibility of some attack effects. So especially I'm sure during the second phase where it's very hard to see things, they apparently made it easier to see what he's doing, so maybe the light show is not as blinding as it usually is, or as it was in the past. And the update had a whole bunch of other like weapon changes and buffs for PvE and PvP, which seemed really interesting. But yeah, I did beat Radahn twice before they nerfed him, and I know there's gonna be a whole like brigade of people being like, I beat pre-patch Radahn, so if you beat Radahn after the patch, it's not actually beating him, and and people who say that are stupid. Because if there was one thing in Elden Ring that is like severely overtuned, it was probably that and Millennia. Did they ever nerf Millennia at all in like the original base games like update cycle? I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't think the final bosses for Souls games need to be hard in order to be considered good. Like, they can be challenging, sure. There's nothing wrong with a boss being challenging, but I feel like Radahn just barely stepped over the line of what I would consider like challenging but fair and just like not fun to fight. I have 2 videos fighting pre-nerfed Radahn on my channel, so, and it's really weird actually, because thinking about it, you know, in the past in Souls games, the final bosses of these games have never been particularly hard. In DS1, Gwyn is not hard, especially if you know how to parry him, then he's just downright a non-fight. But you little shit, you know, if you're not paying attention, he's definitely like, he does a ton of damage and he's actually quite fast. For a Dark Souls 1 boss, it's very weird actually. But then Manus is like kind of hard. He's not that bad. And then DS2, Aldia and Nishandra are like not very hard at all. And DS3, the Soul Cinder is, I don't think the Soul Cinder is like challenging. Maybe I'm just speaking from experience from fighting him as much as I have. But and then Slave Knight Gale is, again, I don't think he's very hard. I feel like it's more important for the final boss to be fun and sort of like a spectacle. Maybe not like a gimmick boss fight, but like more so, you know, that sort of Artorias-esque or like lore significant in a way type boss, instead of just outright being super hard. Are there drop attacks in this game? There are not. And then Bloodborne, Gehrman can be challenging, and the Moon Presence is like, the Moon Presence is not very hard. But yeah, and usually in the DLC, the final boss is more challenging than anything that was ever in the base game. You know, with Manus and the PS2 DLC bosses, and then Kos and Bloodborne is like, that was like for a while, people considered that to be one of the hardest things they ever put in a FromSoft game. And Sekiro was different. I don't really count it as a Souls game just because it's the type of game that it is very, very different. I mean, there's like bosses and like, I was about to say there's corpse running, but there is no corpse running. But you know, the control scheme is similar and the like level structure with the boss at the end is similar. But besides that, it's like, it's closer to like a regular character action game than it is like an RPG Souls game, where like comboing specific moves and like fast twitchy reactions are more important than the way you build your character or whatever. But even so, Ishin at the end of the game is also a contender for hardest thing to put in a FromSoft game. And then yeah, with Elden Ring, the Radahn and Melania are probably the 2 hardest things in that entire game in terms of bosses. But yeah, I feel like for a final boss, for whether it's a DLC or a game, I think it's more important for the boss to be fun to fight and super cool in terms of like the lore than it is to be hard. And if it is going to be hard, you know, it should err more so on the side of challenging but fair instead of just downright annoying. Okay. I'll say I have magic on this character, unlike my last character that I made. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like fully spec into magic or anything, but I just wanted to try out like the starter magic for as long as I can, because apparently it's like super overpowered. So you little shit. Yeah, as somebody who actually beat pre-nerf Radahn, I'll say once, even though it was technically twice, because the first time I summoned somebody to do it after fighting him for like however long I did. But I did beat pre-nerf Radahn solo, and I was using Euphoria, which was surprising to me how good it actually was in that boss fight. But I do think as somebody who beat that boss pre-nerf, that the nerf here is justified. I feel like this is the most I've seen people who are like, God damn it. I was saying, I know so many people who have played the DLC and had a good time with it, but they either heard about how hard Radahn is, or they fought Radahn and saw how hard he is and were like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to beat this, or they haven't gone back to try and beat him yet. And it's like, if something is so hard that people are hesitant to either return to that boss fight or try and do it in the first place, then I think that's a problem. Although it is funny in this situation, Radahn has now been nerfed twice, 2 separate times, in 2 different forms in Elden Ring's history, which is very funny. How the hell do you get this? Oh, hello. Oh god, I have to hear this horrible rock noise again. Who on the localization team thought it was a good idea to name this item sticky white stuff in English? I want to meet this person and just like figure out what was going on in their head when they decided that was a good idea. But yeah, besides the Radahn stuff, there was a whole bunch of buffs to things that needed it. They buffed I think the entirety of the uncharged R1s for like every weapon class in the game, which is really cool. And I think they also nerfed the damage of the backhand blades in PvP specifically, I think. My god, get destroyed. These are some of the scariest dogs in a FromSoft game, and that's saying something. They're so fast. There's something else I wanted to talk about, but of course, now that I hit the record button, it is currently escaping me. All my thoughts oozing out of my ear holes. Oh yeah, I remember. It's totally unrelated to anything FromSoft or Souls related, but the final season of Modern Warfare 3, I think, comes out in like 2 days, 3 days. It might be 2 days by the time this video goes up, but yeah, something really interesting is happening, and it's kind of odd considering the track record of the seasonal content for Modern Warfare 3. Which, if you're watching this and you don't really know anything about like the current state of Call of Duty and everything. Modern Warfare 3 came out and the campaign was god-awful. Everybody memed on it, and that is deserved for the most part. Although, when you find out that Sledgehammer was only given 16 months to make Modern Warfare 3 in its entirety, then you kind of see why some things ended up the way that they did. But regardless of that, the campaign was like bad. I'm not even sure in terms of story, but it just like in terms of how it's structured, a lot of it is just like open world missions that have Warzone stuff in it, which is not what people wanted in a Call of Duty campaign. But then zombies ended up the way that it did, again, having a bunch of Warzone stuff integrated so far as even taking place on the same map. And some people like the zombies and they like the open world running around doing contracts and all that. And I don't hate it, but I prefer like normal zombies, the whole round-based thing. And the multiplayer was like the only really good part about Modern Warfare 3, and the seasonal content surprisingly was very like robust, and there were tons of cool stuff and maps that they added over the 5 seasons or whatever it's been since that game has come out. And there was always a decent amount of unique maps coming out every season, and they even added to the small map pool, I should say, because yeah, in Modern Warfare 2 there were not a ton of small maps. I think there was Rust, and was Rust in MW2? It might not have been actually, but yeah, Shipment in MW2 was like the only really small map in that game. You backstab, idiot. This game is too easy. Don't laugh at me. But yeah, there was always new guns and a decent amount of new maps every season. And overall, the the balancing and stuff and the things that they added over the course of the game's life was, for the most part, really good. I feel like a lot of people hear Modern Warfare 3, the 2023, and they're like, oh, that game sucked. But it's like, the multiplayer is actually really good. It's probably the best multiplayer from what I've gathered out of all of the, people who have been playing Call of Duty forever, because I stopped after like BO4. And even then, I didn't really play that. But the people who've been playing Call of Duty consistently forever have said that, yeah, Modern Warfare 3 is like one of the best multiplayer experiences that has been in a modern Call of Duty game for a while. At the bare minimum, I think Cold War was the last like decent one. So yeah, the general vibe about Call of Duty's multiplayer and its seasonal content has been like really positive. And then season 6 gets announced, and they're adding 2 guns. One is a battle rifle, and one is a LMG, which is kind of like, they're just like normal guns. You would think for the final season they would do something a bit more exciting. They added the freaking Moors and Bow from Advanced Warfare into this game. And in Vanguard, they added the freaking, what is it, the EM1 fucking laser gun from Advanced Warfare as well. They really want to make Advanced Warfare 2, which is really upsetting because they probably won't ever get the chance to, because I don't know how they would integrate the EXO shit into Warzone, which is, obviously the most important thing when it comes to these Call of Duty games. But yeah, weirdly enough, let me get to the point finally. For season 6, you have 2 kind of anticlimactic guns being added, and then the final batch of maps, there's technically a ton of maps. I think it's like 5 or 6. It might be 5, but they're all variations of Shipment. So if you love Shipment, which I don't hate Shipment, I like running around and, turning my brain off for however long and just shooting people as we spawn inside of each other. But yeah, they're all visually different variations of Shipment. And I think Charlie Incel tweeted this. I don't know if this has been confirmed or not, but he usually doesn't tweet stuff that's like wrong from what I understand. But yeah, it's weird that the final season is just a bunch of variations of Shipment for its maps. And there is a rumor going on that some of Modern Warfare 3's season 6 maps were actually taken, and they're being used for the seasonal content for Black Ops 6 in the future. So I'm not sure how I really feel about that. It feels like another situation of Sledgehammer getting the short end of the stick. Not only did they have a 16-month dev time, and they were able to somehow squeeze out one of the best multiplayers that Call of Duty has had in a while, but at the end of it all, they have to sort of fizzle out with a unremarkable final season, which is only gonna be a month. So I guess it kind of makes sense that the final season, one is super short. So I guess they wouldn't want to put a bunch of dev time into making completely new maps for a month-long season. And then when that ends, everybody will inevitably go and hop on the new game. But it's very weird how this is playing out. And I guess it's also weird to think about because Black Ops 6 has had a 4-year maybe 5-year dev cycle. And you would think with all that time, they'd be able to, you know, have maps for the future seasonal stuff, at least a little bit, right? But I guess they don't. Again, if that rumor is true, although you could kind of see this as like payback, quote unquote, in a non-serious way. Because if I remember correctly, Treyarch had to stop working on something, I believe, to help with Vanguard, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong about that, but yeah, I'm less bummed about the 5 shipment variations than I am about the guns, because I was hoping there would be something really cool and interesting being added to the final season, but it's just an LMG and a battle rifle, so whoop-de-fucking-do. But yeah, I'm here at the boss. Surprised I had enough stuff to talk about going through this entire level, and hopefully I do this first try, because if I don't, I'm gonna cry. So here we go. Hello, you little shit. This boss in the remaster, or the remake, looks amazing. The entire remake looks amazing. You know, artistic liberties taken aside. How much damage does this do? Yeah, the music in this game is so silly. What is he doing? Oh. Ow. Hello. You little shit. This game is so whimsical and silly. I love it. Ow. You eat this in front of your face. Look at that deeps. Oh, he's doing it again. Okay, so isn't there supposed to be like oil that fills up this entire like run up, and then he sets it all on fire? Ow! Ow! Hello. Oh. And he's dead. Yes, look at my totally legitimate PlayStation trophy that I unlocked playing on the original PS3 copy of Demon's Souls on original hardware. Yes, of course. But speaking of Demon's Souls, I do have Restream linked up to my OBS and everything. Because one, I should start streaming again. But I also I want to try dual streaming again. I stopped doing it after beating Shadow of the Erdtree because for some reason sometimes the YouTube stream would disconnect and I would have to make an entirely new stream. So sometimes there are streams up there that are only like 30 minutes long because it disconnected at some point. So hopefully that doesn't happen as often because yeah, that's really annoying. But yeah, I think it's gonna do it for me for today. If you did enjoy this video and want to help support the channel, then leaving a like and subscribing would be very much appreciated. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to the Nexus, level up, and then throw myself off a cliff to save my world tendencies. So anyways, later.